Iran has given Israel a harsh warning about possible moves against Tehran.
The Zionist regime's first mistake against Iran will be its final mistake, and we think Israel will not take such unwise measures.
Iranian Defense Minister Brigadier General Ahmad Vahidi said Tel Aviv's threats are of no value and reveal their false and aggressive nature. He added that U.S. authorities should try to resolve the problems in their own country instead of making warmongering remarks. Iran's defense minister also said that Washington supplies arms and funds to Israel, which is notorious for illegal occupations, killing, and terror. His words are a response to the latest statements by U.S. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel and Israeli military officials who have threatened to attack Iran. Israel has recently repeated threats against Iran, saying it is able to invade Iran on its own. Writer and radio host Stephen Lendman joined us to share his thoughts on this. Stephen Lendman, not a bad trip for Chuck Hagel there, his first trip to the Middle East, $10 billion arms sales to U.S.'s Arab allies and, of course, Israel. This is becoming quite a profitable thing for the U.S. When it comes to threatening Iran and, of course, Israel along with them, with the U.S. Making arms sales. What's your reaction to these latest threats of attacking Iran?
Governor, it's good to be on with you again. Israel knows well, Washington knows well, major NATO allies know well that an Israeli and or a U.S. attack on Iran is absolute madness. Madness. There are cool heads in these countries. They want no part of it. The Pentagon wants no part of it. You'll hear bluster from the NATO commander, Admiral Stark-Reelis, saying, well, he's ready to do whatever he's asked to do. Well, this is bluster. We've heard this stuff before. We hear it repeatedly. We hear all kinds of baseless charges. And of course, Netanyahu is always saying, cross the red line and we'll do this, that, and something else. Whether Israel actually intends to do this, I'm very suspect, but you never know. Sometimes mistakes are made, things can happen, but I do know there are cool heads in these countries that absolutely know this will be a catastrophic event if it happened, and they don't want to go anywhere near it.
Well, what's interesting, Stephen Lendman, is that you have within the intelligence community of Israel, they believe that this is not something that Israel should do, attacking Iran, which kind of echoes what's within the American information or intelligence circles. Is there a disconnect when it comes to, for example, Netanyahu, who's a hardline person there, with the intelligence community within Israel, that Netanyahu is more aggressive and they are not?
Well, Netanyahu is very long on bluster, Kaveh, as far as launching a war against a nation that's able to strike back. He has no compunction, no hesitation attacking Palestinians, whether it's community incursions in the West Bank or East Jerusalem, or bombing or invading Gaza. Oh, it's very easy. Bullies like to pick on soft targets, but they don't like to go at a nation that's able to strike back. So far, I take Netanyahu's comments as bluster. What he'll actually do is something else entirely. Here's the issue. I've written it so many times. I've said it on Press TV. The issue is nothing to do with a bogus Iranian nuclear threat. These countries know, U.S. intelligence knows, they say it every year, that Iran's nuclear program is peaceful. All the top officials in these countries know that. The issue is an independent nation. That's what's at stake. Washington doesn't tolerate independent nations. It wants pro-Western ones. Israel wants regional dominance. It wants to eliminate its rivals in the region. So you see what's happened since 9/11. Iran is on the list. We know what's happening in Syria. This is what this is all about.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, writer and radio host Stephen Lendman. It's good to see you there from Chicago.